Hello everybody and welcome to our live MXGP TV studio show here from round 11 of the FIM Motocross World Championship, the MXGP of Indonesia. We are at the new circuit of Palembang. Today's show we've got Mitchell Harrison from Bud Racing Kawasaki, we've got Max Anstie from Standing Construct KTM, and at the end of the day Livia Lancelot from Honda 114 Motorsport. She's a team manager of course, but before we talk to our first guest, Mr. Harrison, Lisa Leyland, here we are back in Indonesia. Brand new venue. What have you made of it so far?
Yeah, I'd have to say I'm really, really impressed. It's almost like a holiday feel here because you've got the nice hotel, everyone's staying in the hotel with a rooftop pool, the media centre's in the hotel, you've got the weather, you can top up the tannage. I mean, it's nice. So far, well organised and it's good.
Top up the tannage, that's you talking. I need to get a tannage. A little bit white here. But look, we're going to talk to our first guest, Mitchell Harrison, Bud Racing Kawasaki. Welcome to our live studio show. Obviously, first time for you. Last time out, 8th overall. We'll talk about that later on. But how did you end up here in Europe riding MX2? You joined us in round 4, by the way.
Yeah, it was a very last-minute thing. I got a call from Aaron Nixon. He actually set it up and told us, hey, you got an opportunity over in Europe with the Bud Racing team. I'll give you Stefan's contact. Would you like to go for it? I didn't know what it was. I thought it was EMX. But once I found out it was MX2, I was like, heck yeah, I'm all for it. I don't have an outdoor deal, so let's do this. And
what have you experienced so far? I mean, how was it initially? Because could anything have prepared you for your European trip so far?
So far, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very last minute, so I flew out. I got the call Friday, and I flew out the next Monday, and then hopped on the bike Tuesday, so it was really fast.
Yeah.
I couldn't really transition to where I was at. I just was testing and going to these weird riding places, and then off to Trentino that next Friday. But it was awesome, like a beautiful place, a lot of travel though.
Yeah.
And were you nervous lining up for your first race in Trentino?
You know, my qualifying race I wasn't. I was really relaxed, and then when I went to the main race, I was like, wow, I qualified 5th, and I think I put a little more pressure on myself, and you know, I don't think I rode it as good, but I didn't get a good start. So that was the bigger issue in the actual the 2 race days. So but it was a fun track, and it was just way different than America.
Well, things have been a little bit up and down since that 5th place in the qualifying race. What do you think perhaps has been the most difficult for you on the racing side of things?
Mainly the start and less lines. So it's harder to pass. So if you don't get a start, it's hard to come back. I've said that countless times. Where in America, it's just so many lines, and it's way easier to come back and pass people. So that's the issue. And the Bud Racing team and I are really working hard on our starts and the bike better and myself better. So once I get a start, I feel I'll be deadly.
And you did say it was quite a fun track there, but I mean, have you ever ridden anything like that before, in that kind of scenery, that kind of setting, that kind of ground?
No, not at all. The track was very unique. The scenery was amazing.
Yeah.
And I kind of just wanted to look up all day because I love mountains. So it's a beautiful, awesome experience.
And what about, let's talk about Germany and the last 4 motos in particular. Things seem to have got a little bit more consistent now. 12th to 10th, 2 8ths, 8th overall in Germany last time out. Your best consistent run of form so far. Is that because now you're getting used to your surroundings, your environment, the bike, the lifestyle, all that kind of stuff?
I think it's a combination of all of it. But, you know, a main thing we changed during qualifying practice, after qualifying practice, we changed my foot pegs on my bike. We lowered them. Okay. And that made it a lot more open, my cockpit, as you would say.
Yeah. And
it made me so much more comfortable on the bike. And, you know, we've done a lot more changes since then. And I just feel way better on the bike. I feel I have more flow, and just, you got to be really smooth on these tracks. In America, you got to hammer down, and I had to change my style up a lot. And that's taken a long time, too. But, you know, I have so many people around me that help me, and it's just been amazing.
Well, let's to the lifestyle. Let's go back to the lifestyle side of things that we were talking about earlier. Leaving America to Europe is a huge change in itself. But what's it been like for you coming here to to Indonesia. I mean, how's it been for you so far? And we've obviously got a few days break in between the races. What are you doing in between? Bali, maybe?
Oh, yeah, we're going to Bali.
Yeah.
I had to bring my girlfriend because it's once-a-lifetime experience.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll come back next year and do it, but it's just amazing. It's really hectic here. The traffic is insane.
Like, it is.
Americans would freak out. There's scooters everywhere, but it's unique. You get this cool hotel experience, and the people are super nice, and the track is really great so far. So it's really nice here.
I'm guessing your girlfriend is more popular for selfies than you are this weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not too much of an Instagram freak, but it's.
But just before social media question, Germany last week, first time there, Teushenthal, former Motocross and Nations track. Getting there and riding it, completely different to maybe watching it on TV in the past, maybe?
I don't think so, no? Honestly. It was really rutted, and I love that because it actually really reminded me of High Point. It did have some elevation changes, not as much, but I adapted to the track very well and loved it. So immediate thoughts were just like, wow, this is going to be great. I thought at the beginning of the weekend, I was like, this is going to be a good weekend for me.
Cool.
Okay, well, finally, Mitchell, we have a question on social media for you. This one's from MX Justin, and he says, what do you like best about your Kawasaki? What surprised you the most? Because it's your first year, right?
Is it
on the Kawasaki or not?
Well, I had my whole amateur career, starting from big bikes. I was on Kawasaki. My first impression of the Kawasaki is I've always adapted to it very well. It's a really good bike. You can change so much on it, and I don't know. I've always felt super comfortable on a Kawi, and it's just it's just a super comfortable bike.
How are you getting on with the team? Actually, how is it in Hossegor?
Love it, absolutely love it. It's such a good experience there. You know, the team's amazing. They're super friendly. It's like they're my family now. And you know, everybody speaks English in Hossegor, so it's really easy for me and my girlfriend. But I'm trying to speak some French because, you know, it's their country. So I can't come in and be like, hey, you guys speak English for me. No, I need to speak some French, learn their language. But it's been amazing. Super awesome experience.
Well, like I say, it's like a once-in-a-lifetime deal. Twice if you stay next year, of course. Yes. But I'm glad to hear that you are enjoying it because it's not easy for somebody from the other side of the world to come and base themselves in Europe. No parents, no support network. You've got your girlfriend here now. But Mitchell, thanks for joining us on the studio show today.
Thank you.
All the best this weekend here in Indonesia and Semarang next week, and for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Mitchell Harrison. But before we catch up with Max Anstie, our second guest, standing contract KTM, let's check out some highlights from MX2 Race 2 weeks ago in Germany.
Once again, Jorge Prado, quickest out of the seat, out of the blocks. Turned tightly up the inside of his teammate for Fox Holshot, number 14. Brian Moreau-Felvo going into turn 2. It will get worse for the Frenchman later on in the race. Not the best of starts for Jacoby this time, queuing up just outside the top 10 on the opening lap. Darren Sinai was just a couple of places ahead of him on the number 57 bike at DRT Kawasaki, as he gave chase to Maxim Renault and Thomas Olsen. Olsen on the charge early on. Jacoby scythed his way up the inside of Sinai, moved himself into 9th. As Jed Beaton made a good start, was just hovering outside the top 5. Moved his way past Bas Varsen on the number 98 Hitachi KTM, as Jacoby started to get second wind. But maybe he was pushing just a little bit too hard. Darren Sinai went out with a mechanical. Tom Vial, another good start in second, but he lost the front going through one of the right-handers, lost a couple of positions to Olsen and Jago Geerts. Picked himself back up in 4th, but then Olsen fell from 2nd, handing that position to Geerts on the Yamaha. Vial, though, managed to find his way back past the Belgian and into 2nd place. Varsen was having another solid ride. Jacoby, though, bit the dirt. He fell from 8th, was back down in 14th. And the red mist started to descend on the German. The two Huskies were side by side, but it was Olsen who blitzed past his teammate to move into 4th place. And then Jago Hirt went out with a technical issue. Tough blow for the Yamaha rider. Vial saved a near-off excursion, but that enabled the 172 of Matthijs Borromée to close the door on the Honda 114 Motorsports machine. Big talking point of the race, though. Henry Jacobi cleaned out his teammate Adam Sterry as they battled over 9th place. Sterry picked himself up, would eventually come home in 11th. But it was Jorge Prado who took race win number 17 ahead of Matthijs Borromée and Tom Vial. Vial, his best ever finish in MX2, back on the podium again, and Borromée, the first-time visitor to the MX2 podium in his rookie season. Prado now leads Thomas Olsen by 44 points. Jago Hirt lost ground, but the smile said it all from both the French riders. Borromée third, Vial second, but once again, Jorge Prado on the top step of the podium, this time in Germany.
Welcome back to our live studio show on MXGP TV here, round 11 of the FIM Motocross World Championship, the MXGP of Indonesia at Palembang. Our second guest, Max Anstie from Standing Construct KTM in the MXGP class, now joins us. Max, welcome to our live studio show here in the nice breezy surroundings of this racetrack. It's nice and cool up here, isn't it? Just before we get started, you look like you're having a fantastic time this year. No. Obviously joking, you know.
No, I'm, you know, yeah, okay, it hasn't gone to plan on paper,
yeah.
but I have really enjoyed working with the team and really progressing. You know, I actually felt great in the off season. I felt great coming in, and we've done a really good job. You know, I can't thank the guys enough there, and Tim for giving me the opportunity to be surrounded by a good group of guys. You know, and I think each week we at the beginning of the year we were pushing on. I was leading races and then falling off, and then having silly things happen, having the foot peg get stuck in my trousers for 2 minutes, and then I got so many fourth places in one moto, and then messed up the next moto. That I think it's just consistency is what I've been lacking a little bit, and you know, at the end of the day, I feel like everyone works hard in this class, and as soon as you have a knock or a thing that sets you back, then you're behind the 8 ball to catch back up. And I felt like up until Arco, I was in a really good place, and we had that big break. And over that big break, I ended up getting tonsillitis. I was on antibiotics for 10 days, and then I came back and crashed one week, crashed the next week, couldn't train in the week, and it just set me back. And I was like, what turned into just being a week off turned into being 5 weeks of not actually doing any decent training. So.
Well, look, obviously there's been a lot of things there, but let's go back to Valkenswaard. I know you got a fourth in Argentina, one of the races, but Valkenswaard, you were showing signs of your former self. The Max that we know, you passed Tony, you led one of the races until that crash. What is it that has held you back since then? And obviously you've just given a bit of a glossary on it. A lot of things, really. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I actually felt great up until that point, and felt like, right, I was in a position where I could start stepping up and proving, right, I'm going to be consistent up here now. And then, yeah, like I said, we went into that big break, and I just had one thing after the other that just clicked the wrong way. And then we went to, was it Mantova?
And but then that was a look of a draw anyway, wasn't it? It was a mudder.
Yeah, but there there was a Dutch race before the first race back, which was Mantova. Then I crashed there, and then had a week off, and then Mantova again didn't go so well. I had to have another week off before Portugal, and then it was just not going the
one thing
right
after another.
Well, if you had won that race, or perhaps finished top 3, do you think mentally you would have been in a different place now? Because you did look really comfortable up front.
I think so, and I think then things started going a little bit south, and then I was like, oh right, I need to make it happen now, because it's been the first few that I got there and a few fourths and things. I was like, oh, there's loads of time, right? I'm gonna bang it in. It's gonna happen. Like, it's not gonna be a problem. And then it was like, oh man, we're struggling a bit now. We've had a few things go wrong. I'm like, right, I need to get it on. And then you almost try sometimes too hard to do that. And then you're searching a little bit, and then you're scratching your head like, how did it all go south after feeling so good? But I do feel like it just takes time to be back in the flow of things in the week, and I think that builds confidence coming into the weekend. And I think now I've had a good few weeks, so I'm hoping that I can keep the ball rolling. That's the most important thing, and the hardest thing in this championship. It's such a long year and such a long series that for everyone to stay solid every week is tough. When the 10 or 15 other top guys that can get on the podium, they might be feeling really good those weeks, and if you're not, then you're 2% off. That makes all the difference.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you did say you've had a good few weeks.
Yeah.
Last time out in Germany, 6th overall. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. And I was battling right with Gautier and Arno Tonis right until the last lap, which was, I didn't even realise it was for the podium if I would have got Tonis in.
It was close
in that one, but it was for me it was just nice to be 2 solid motos in the race. Right, we're back in the game now. I've had a few not so great weeks, and now I can start being back up where I should be, and just in the race it was fun. I enjoy that racing. I mean, okay, the result, it's a 6th, it's solid, it's good, I'll take it. It would be nice if it was a 3rd, or nice if it was a 2nd, or nice if it was a win. But at the end of the day, I actually enjoy the racing when it's like that.
We've got about just over a minute to go, so speed through these ones.
Just quickly, we're now into the second half of the season. What are you hoping to get out of the last 8 rounds?
Podiums.
There you go.
Short and
Fantastic.
sweet. Right,
social media.
Back on track.
Okay. Barry Dyson from MX Photo, he says, you have the ability, but how frustrated are you by the lack of consistency? Do you feel it's just bad luck, perhaps?
Very frustrated. I think so, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I think each year I've had to work with a new bike and a new setup, and I feel like the consistency comes from making a little bit the wrong decision, like the wrong decision with the gearing on the start, or the wrong decision with the mapping, or just something silly which makes 1 or 2%, and then it's like, oh, you start 5th or you start 15th. And I think that, like we're learning, I feel like we've made steps. We're in a good place, but I wish I could have started the year where I am right now.
Yeah. Hindsight,
Okay, and MX Justin, could you become a motocross commentator or TV presenter someday? Paul's going to retire soon.
I'm retiring soon, I'm almost
so
getting
Paul
my bus
retires
pass.
soon.
Well, I don't know.
Take his place.
I think Paul's got a few more years left in him. I think I'll leave him to it.
You're definitely not short of words, though, are you?
Well,
you'd be a great commentator, Max. You will.
Yeah, well, I can always come and help you out, don't
you can come in and sort of just like
If you ever get stuck, just give me a ring. You know where I am.
Well, look, Max, thanks for joining us here this weekend. All the best for the rest of the season. Obviously, these 2 flyaways here in Indonesia. And we'll catch up with you again soon. Before we leave you, though, just a quick reminder. Don't forget, on MXGP TV, we've got our mid-season offer. It's 50% discount. So if you know somebody who wants it or hasn't got it, then obviously you can watch all the races that we've had so far this year and everything from here on out, including the FIM Monster Energy Motocross of Nations and all the European 125, 250 as well. Right, Max, thanks for joining us here. All the best this weekend, as we've said.
No worries, cheers.
Before we meet Livia Lancelot, let's catch up with some of the highlights from MXGP Race 2 from Germany 2 weeks ago.
As Roman Fevre got squeezed by Gautier Paulin, the Yamaha rider was sent tumbling to the dirt halfway down the start straight. It looked a tough impact, but the Frenchman was able to rejoin the race. Ivo Monticelli hard up the inside, but it was Tim Geiser who crossed the line for Vauxhall shot number 3. 2 in one weekend here in Germany. Seewer down the inside, just behind Geiser. Geiser bobbled, and so too did Seewer. Seewer fell down though. He would have to pick himself up. Came round at the end of the first lap with a lot of work to do. Gautier Paulin was just moving into 5th place behind Anstie on the opening lap. Just ahead of him, Arno Tonis. Team HRC looked on as once again Tim Geiser was at the head of the field. This time though being chased by the number 41 of Paul's Jonas and Arno Tonis. Meanwhile, Jeremy Seewer found his way into 9th with that pass on Brian Bogers, as Jeremy Van Horebeke also made a move on the HRC rider. Van Horebeke would eventually come home in 9th for Honda SR Motor Blues. Roman Fevre, despite the crash, was still putting everything into race 2 as Arminas Jasikonis charged down the inside of Ivo Monticelli. Monticelli proving a very tough nut to crack, though. Monticelli went down. That eventually paved the way for AJ to go through. The Lithuanian now up into 7th. Jeremy Seewer and Van Horbik also found their way by the Italian. Seewer was a man in a hurry, though, but so too was Tim Geiser. Jonas was second in the race and on course for a podium. Arno Tonas rode his luck on more than one occasion under the watchful eye of the team boss. And on the final lap, Tonas under pressure for 3rd. Anstie and Paulin giving chase. Paulin was just off the podium, but he needed to pass Anstie to find his way onto the 3rd step. It was a decisive move from the Frenchman on the Brit. And all of a sudden, they were looking at a double Wilvo Yamaha podium. Anstie circulated to finish in 5th place ahead of his teammate Glenn Koldenoff, but once again Tim Geiser, the man of the moment in MXGP, Team HRC and Honda crossing the line for a 12th win of the season. Jonas came home 2nd, Tonas 3rd, Paulin 4th, Anstie was 5th. It wasn't quite as close as it was a week ago, but Geiser rounding out ahead of Tonas and Paulin. Geiser now 83 points clear of Tony Cairoli, Seewer 69 further back. But look how tight it was for Tonas and Paulin. Those two are now tied on points in the championship. Geiser all smiles here in Germany. Tonas, 5 podiums in a row now for him. Great to see Paulin back up there as well, enjoying his spot in the limelight.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our live studio show here on MXGPTV.com. We are here, despite that slight pause. Our final guest is in the position here, team manager from Honda 114 Motorsports, Livia Lancelot, of course, former world champion WMX. Livy, welcome to our studio show. It's now your 2nd year in management. How have you found it this year? Any easier, or what? Is it getting more difficult?
No, it's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier. I have more experience, and also more time, because last year we started everything late because I was still racing when I built the team, so it was quite tough. And now this year with 1 more year of experience, and we didn't change a lot of things, same sponsors, same staff, so just the riders changed. So actually it's much easier.
Okay, well look, beginning of the year, ironically, the first GP pretty much started out the same as last year. Brand new rider, an Australian, getting on the podium first time out. How did the deal come about with Mitch Evans? How did you manage to land this Aussie import?
Actually, we were looking with Giacomo Garibaldi. We were looking all the results in Australia, and we start to find his name a lot of times, and Giacomo started to get in contact with him. So we start talking, and after, of course, with his great result at the MX we made our decision. He was on the top of our list, and we found a deal. He was happy to come in Europe, and we are really happy to work with him.
Good.
Well, he was on the podium again in Portugal, and I think he even led for a bit. Perhaps the best we've seen him ride all year. Would you agree?
Yeah, sure. Portugal was really good. It was the first time that he had really the speed of the top guys. Argentina, he did already a great race, but it was more like a good average result that made him be on the podium. And Portugal, he definitely had the good speed. So now we are just waiting a little bit this to happen again. He's unfortunately not 100%. He had some crashes in the past weeks, so he's not really ready yet. But his speed is getting better, so I'm sure he will show some good stuff before the end of the year.
Well, he's caught a few people off guard, hasn't he? Because when he came into the season, no one really knew who he was. He's had 2 podiums. He's challenging for top 5 in the championship. Are you surprised by how well he's been doing?
Surprised, not really, because before we signed him, we looked at all the results, and I study all the lap times in Australia, look at the races, look at the videos. So it's not like I signed someone without knowing. And when he arrived in Europe, end of 2018, I was there on the first practices, and I knew that he could be for the 20 rounds, he could be on the podium. Not every round, of course. I knew it wouldn't be like challenging for the title, but from the speed he had and the mentality, the way he's working, you can't never be sure really, but I was like, yeah, he will be on the podium. He deserves to be on the podium.
What about his young teammate? You've gone homegrown there, French, Zach Pichon. How is he finding his second year in MX2, and what were you expecting from him? Were you expecting more? Was he expecting more, for instance, or not?
No, as I always answer, I don't expect nothing from my riders, you know. I'm here to give them all the keys to make results, and then it's their job. So I didn't expect something special from Zach, except improving from last year and do his best. This is what I expect from them, to give 100% all the time. And definitely his results are much better than last year. He's still missing a little bit of luck sometime. He could do some great result if he was a little bit more lucky, and I think it will happen before the end, because he deserves a top 10 in motos for sure. So he will do it.
All right. And how is it working with him and having his father, Mikael, a two-time former world champion and AMA Supercross champion in the lights division, for instance? Is he a hands-on dad? Does he let you kind of take care, or do you encourage that father-son relationship?
He's a dad. I mean, you know. No,
read into that what you will.
no, it's just normal. It's just a little bit hard for me, you know, because sometimes you're like, you want to say something to Zach, and you're like, yeah, but Mika probably already told him anyway. Yeah. So, you know, it's quite hard to learn how to work all together. But no, they are a great family, and Mika is for sure the best person to give advices to Zach. So. Sure. Yeah, it's not everyone has a world champion father, you
exactly.
know. So no, it's good, and we can talk about lines, about everything, and share opinions, and then Zach is the one that has to decide, of course.
Yeah. Well, coming back to Mitch briefly, how was he after his crash in race 1 in Germany? Because he didn't actually line up, did he, in race 2?
No.
We have the crash here actually.
Ooh, the crash was bad.
Yeah, it was actually.
The crash was pretty bad. No, he's okay. We made all the exams, and actually he has nothing bad, nothing broken, just a really big hematoma in his lower back from the impact. Yeah. So he didn't ride between the GPs to recover as much as possible, and now the hematoma is still here, but it's still painful, but it's nothing really wrong. So he will race, and obviously after the free practice this morning, he's okay.
I was actually talking to him when we got here, probably Wednesday or Thursday, and asked about his back situation. He showed me he's still got a lot of fluid in his lower back, and I think when I spoke to you before race 2 in Germany, you didn't really know the full story as to why he wasn't maybe going out, but I was kind of not shocked to learn, but I didn't realize he broke his lower back in 2017, and his pelvis as well, and the impact, the pain that he had stemmed from that, and he just thought, whoa, maybe I've done something again, but glad to see that everything's okay.
No, sure, you know, when you're talking about a hand or something like this, you can take risk, let's say. If you're not 100% sure, you have pain, you can still go right. When you're talking about the back or the neck, you don't take risk anymore, you know. So we already made all the exams on track with the medical truck and staff, but yeah, like you said, he had a big injury in his back, and he was definitely not feeling good, and he didn't want to race. So from this moment, we just decided to stop for this weekend and make more exam back home after, you know, not like hot, and a few days after, to make sure that we don't miss something. And yeah, luckily there is nothing wrong now, so just...
Okay. Well, there was a social media question for you. I wasn't sure if we'd have time to ask it, but Janina Lehman rides in WMX, asked, do you ever miss racing?
No, actually not, never.
No?
I never miss racing. I miss riding sometimes. When I see these kind of tracks, you know, like prepped really well, I wish I could be riding, but not racing.
Okay, well look, Livy, thanks for joining us here this weekend. All the best to you and the team for the rest of the season. But that's our studio show wrapped up here this weekend, MXGP of Indonesia at Palembang. We are back later on this afternoon, 3:15, when we go live with the first of our 2 qualifying races, kicking off with MX2 and then followed on by MXGP. Races are live tomorrow, starting 1 hour earlier than normal local time this weekend, because we are at the Flyaway. So hope you enjoyed the race, hope you've enjoyed the studio show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in 1 week's time when we go to the MXGP of Asia at Semarang. See you then. Bye for now.